You are listening to Sister Soldier Entrepreneur, the podcast for the African American woman veteran entrepreneur, with topics that are important to the transition from military into entrepreneurship. Your host is Rolanda Sumner, the visionary Sister Soldier Entrepreneur and U.S. Army veteran. In this episode, I do a recap or a replay of our October 2017 Veteran Spotlight interview with Master Sergeant Lenita Cornett. This interview was published on my original YouTube channel, Butter Angels, and it was connected to the Butter Angels brand, and naturally I'm bringing it over to Life After Service and Sister Soldier Entrepreneur. Master Sergeant Cornett, or Lenita, she has a lot of good information that she's going to share with us about getting stuck in perfectionism, how she helps soldiers and other women overcome perfectionism, and I wanted to share it with you. So without further ado, let's get started.
Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Miss Lenita Cornett. She's the founder and CEO of Camouflaged Mentor, and she is Perfectly Made Community. She is a mentor, author, life and transitional strategist, and coach. And she's passionate about connecting, networking, and helping women overcome the struggles of perfectionism. So thank you for joining us, Lenita. How are you?
Awesome. I'm happy to be here. I'm so happy that you actually invited me for the interview. So I'm happy to be here. So I'm ready to get it started.
Okay, well, why don't you start off by telling us your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, how you came into developing your organization and helping other women.
So how I got started. So after I finished my first sergeant tenure, so I was first sergeant for over 24 months. I decided, since my family and I were PCSing to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, to be an observe coach trainer for a reserve organization, I decided to take that time to take care of myself and to get myself ready for a transition. So that didn't mean that I actually was going to start the transition process, but at least get my mindset ready for that. So what I did was I focused on something that I love doing, that I do already, and then incorporated into starting my own business. So that's how I got started with the Camouflaged Mentor LLC, which is a coaching and consulting business, to where I focus on helping women navigate through their life's obstacles. And one of the obstacles, of course, is dealing with perfectionism. But it's not the only thing, but that's one of the things, because it's still dealing with your thought process. It affects your performance. It affects everything about your overall well-being anyway when you're dealing with that. So I got started with doing that, I would say, in January. So I started an extensive coaching program with my business coach. Well, one of my business coaches, Coach Danielle. And she pretty much had different type programs, but I decided to go ahead and get started with a coaching program, because I was like, okay, well, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to speak? Do I want to coach? What do I want to do in business? And that's something that I love doing already. So I said, well, hey, let me go ahead and do this and see what this is about. And that's where I started to really dig in. So that's where I started. And then once I completed the program, I delved in more with creating my LLC, which that's how I came up with Camouflaged Mentor LLC. So that's where I just took the leap, and I said, you know what, it's time for me to actually do something for myself, get myself ready for a transition. I may not want to work for someone, even though this is a job in itself, until you actually get your team on board. But I wanted to do something that I love to do and focus on it before I exited out the military. So then I could see what it is that I need to tweak or do to get myself ready for that next chapter in my life. So that's how I got started with Camouflaged Mentor LLC.
So I want to I want to emphasize the part where you said that you're not out yet, but you have been preparing for the transition. This is so important because many of us, to include myself, you think ACAP is your preparation, and then you leave and you realize that your preparation should have started 3, 4, 5 years before you hit ACAP. You know, the saving of your money and trying to figure out where you're going to live. And if you don't want to work for somebody, what are you going to do instead?
Yes, definitely, because one of the things that I saw a lot of, and not here really, because I've been here since January, but my previous organizations, I saw my battles, seniors that pretty much that I looked, I looked up to, pretty much doing stuff last minute. Like when I say last minute, I mean not preparing for the future. So the thing with and I can speak on NCOs, non-commissioned officers, because that's who I am. I'm a senior non-commissioned officer, a senior leader, and a lot of times we take care of everyone else but ourselves, because that's what we're instilled to do. We're instilled to take care of the soldiers and take care of the mission. So then at the end of the day, who's left to drive? Who is left to take care of? I mean, you got to take care of yourself, So I just seen that too much within my career, and sometimes I see it even now, but with me having a senior command, we don't really have a lot of junior soldiers, but it happens to all of us, even the seniors. It doesn't even matter what your rank is. You get so comfortable and you love what you do, because that's why you stay in over 20 years. That's why you may stay 19 and then retire. Still a long time, but you sacrifice. And you sacrifice so much, and then once you sacrifice all those years, do you really know who you are? Like, at the end of the day, do you know who you are? Because your MOS could be logistics. So I'm logistics, all quartermaster, right? So that's what I do, but I did it day in and day out. Earlier on in my career. Now I'm more of a manager and a teach, coach, and trainer now. But my mindset prior to even thinking about entrepreneurship was, okay, I have to go, when I retire, I'm going to go into the GS system, get me, be a senior logistician, do this type of job. But is that really what I want to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's so important, because I had such a hard time transitioning, and I medically retired in 2015. I was right at 20 years, like a few months right before 20 years. And I had a hard time with my transition, because I was like, look, I'm Staff Sergeant Sumner, I'm an HR NCO. I operate trucks, I lead soldiers, like that's who I am. And my priorities were so different. Seriously, like it was Army, family, and God, like in that order. And so when I got out, I was like, well, what do I do now? I didn't know who I was. I was afraid to say what I wanted. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't say what I wanted until, way down the line. So you are absolutely right. I wish I would have ran into you like 3 years ago. Do you give these talks? Do you speak to soldiers, leadership, and subordinates? Do you speak to them like in groups? Because this is something they need to hear before they even think about retirement. Because you never think about retirement until you have to retire.
I never thought about actually doing, for large groups, but it, due to the fact that we already have the Soldier for Life programs, that could be another thing that I could do just to emphasize on. But I do really focus on being an advocate and actually talking to soldiers and leaders in reference to that, to make sure that they stay on track and know what they want to do.
How do your services address the transitional issues and perfectionism and, just us being sound people when we get out and on the way out?
Like I said, my niche is perfectionism. You're still going to deal with that outside the military, because the reason why I say that is because the way the military has ingrained stuff in you, you're trained to do the standard above the standard. Yeah. And if you do anything less, you're nothing. I'm not saying the military looks at you like you're mediocre, but come on, let's Come on now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I can say it on out. They look at you like you're like that small, and you're like, "Foot soldier, you didn't beat the standard. You must make the standard."
But I mean, it's true. It's real talk, because the way you get evaluated, you as a leader, you're getting evaluated. Either you're going to be the most qualified, or you're going to be not qualified. Which one you? It's something that is really hard to break because of, and what I mean by that, there's nothing wrong with progression. See, there's a difference between progression and perfection. Progression is, you're constantly striving for excellence. You're doing those things to strive for it, but you're not running yourself through the ground. You're not being a workaholic where you're like working all these hours and hours and hours of doing, because in the civilian sector, you ain't gonna be able to work hours. You're gonna have to leave and clock out and go home.
And don't with you.
But then you may have some that actually go home and then still work while they're at home. That's a workaholic. I've done it years. I mean, I've been in the military 22 years, and but it's those type things that that you're used to doing when you've been in the military for so long, that it just overflows into your personal life and overflows into your next career. And then it's the effects of it, because everybody deals with it differently. With perfection, is not just about someone wanting to do things just right. You got people that are procrastinators. They're afraid, they fear doing anything because they fear that it's not going to be perfect enough, so they don't do it.
Yeah. It's called perfectionism paralysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us more about your services. Tell us more how you can help us.
Like I said, perfectionism is a whole lot. And so one of them is procrastination. So with that is, I just give tools and strategies on ways to improve the procrastination, because honestly, you're not going to be able to do anything unless you got to take action. You can't just sit on, you got to do something. So if you need someone, I'm that accountability partner for that individual that needs that assist, that needs that push, because some people, they actually need someone to help them on their way. I'm not there to do it their whole entire life, but at least get them started so then they can get back on track. So that when it comes to the procrastination piece, that I'm like the accountability partner for them, so they can actually find strategies for them so they can move forward in their process, so they can actually take those steps to finish their goals. That's another reason too. Some people don't even complete goals, and the stuff can happen today, and 10 years down the line is when they finish it. For what? Because you fear it's not right.
You think people will laugh at you or something.
Well, yeah. It's not good enough, or just looking at how everybody else views you. That self-validation, that type stuff. I'm here to provide strategies. Everyone's not going to be the same, but I'm here to provide strategies, be that accountability partner, and to help you along your journey so you can actually take those steps to achieve your goal, because that's the end result, is making sure that you achieve that goal.
And see, this is important. And the reason I say that you do need this service is because I was there before. Like, I was there before when I was first starting my business, and I had so many things cluttered up in my mind, I couldn't figure out which was the right way to go. So I spoke to a strategist who was like, okay, Rolanda, this is everything you're looking at. You're going to do these 3 things. This is where we're going to start. Call me in 90 days. And I swear to goodness, those 3 things were the best 3 things I ever did. But it helps to have somebody in your corner to take all of the chaos that's going on in your brain, all of the things you're trying to get done all at one time, and then help you work out a way to execute all of that in a very organized manner, and help you like a good sounding board. Yeah. You need those things, especially if you are a woman veteran entrepreneur. There is a lot on our plate, and it helps to have somebody to talk to and then say, okay, let's together work out a plan that's going to work for you. And then I'm going to be here in 30 days and 60 days and 90 days. You're going to call me and we're going to talk about what you accomplished, what you should have accomplished, and how we're going to reset this. Y'all need
Yes. Yes. And so it's just like you mentioned, it's so important because you have goals, but you still got to take action. So you got to know those action steps. And then after that, you got to see the progression. Then you got to do an assessment. And then it's just a cycle of, and then, you know, you're going to meet those gates. So then you could actually reach that goal and then you can work on something else, you know? So definitely I'm here to do that. And then it's one thing that I do want to talk about, coaches. Okay, we got a lot of coaches out there. Okay, you got strategists, you got coaches, you got business coaches, you got life coaches. I'm a life and transformational strategist because I'm here to transform your life. I'm here to be the catalyst for you, to create that change, so you can. Your end result is doing those things that you want. That's achieving your goals, right? So, but you have coaches that, I'm telling you, I mean, Facebook is like, I don't even know how to say it. It's a plethora of groups out there, right? So when you're starting out and it's like you want to be an entrepreneur and you're like, okay, what do I need to do? And, you know, Facebook's got all these communities out there, but you have to narrow it down and don't clog yourself up with all of these coaches. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need to do this. I need to do that. And then you got all these coaches telling you stuff. And then you spinning your wheels not doing nothing.
Yeah. I mean, she's absolutely right. You, of course, have to find a group that works for you. But after you look at all of them or most of them, it's okay to jump out of like 50 of them and only have 5 groups. Matter of fact, you really should narrow your groups down to like the top ones that you can interact with on a regular basis, because you'll find yourself with 20 and 30 groups and you're trying to be in all the groups and you can't really interact and get to know who's in the groups. You're not getting anything out of it. And another thing with the coaches part, not everybody is as good as they say, because coach is such a freely thrown around word. You know, when you talk to Lenita, she just gave us her plan of action and how she plans on helping you. She's already told you, you know, well, this is what we do and this is how we're going to strategize around it. Listen to those cues when you're talking to other coaches, when you're talking to other people. What is their plan? Because I can say I'm a coach, but do I really have a plan? Am I really just talking about philosophy and theories? She's actually lived it. She's in the military. She's a first sergeant, so she's a leader of many people who need her assistance, and she has to sit down and write out these things and help them stay on track. After she got them on track, she got to help them stay on track. Then she got to go back and make sure that they didn't fall off. So are there other services that we need to know about?
So one of the other things that I do, I'm actually I don't want to say a partner, but I do a collaboration. It's called the Winning Coaches. And so I call us a sister of coaches because we pretty much were birthed through Coach Danielle. So we pretty much, we come together every Sunday night and we do our live video chats and we talk about a lot of different topics relative. It could be spiritual, you know, entrepreneurship, but a lot of it is based around spirituality. And then the other topics with that. So that's one of the other things that I have been working on right now. I actually just published my Camouflaged of Perfection ebook, my first book, and I'm actually working on another book. So I'm so excited about that. You know, it's my first, it's a quick read, but it just gives you a synopsis of my experience and what I dealt with when I was first sergeant, actually going through the process of the self-awareness of perfectionism and what I dealt with. And I'm actually working on a course to follow up on the book right now. So it's in the works. continuation of the Camouflaged of Perfection, and it pretty much talks about emotional mastery, talks about self-awareness, gaining your self-esteem, self-love, self-confidence. You really can't move forward unless you accept who you are. And that's pretty much a lot of based around what I do. It's pretty much accepting who you are and loving who you are. You hear the word self-love a lot. A lot of coaches use self-love, and it's, and it is a buzzword that's probably overused.
They don't really explain what it means. They don't really talk about all of the stuff you need to do in the journey.
Yeah.
Of yourself. It's not just like, okay, I love myself today. It's a journey. It's a practice. It's something that you consistently have to do on a day-to-day basis. You got to be cry. Sometimes you got to be sick.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to be like, you know what? I don't even care. F it. You might have to lose some friends. You might have to change your job. You might have to look at your money different. You might have to get rid of the fake nails, the fake hair, and all the makeup.
Yes.
Journey getting to it. So thank you for bringing that up, because you're right. It's overused and underexplained.
Yes. But my sister, Latoya, my youngest sister, because I have 3 sisters, but she actually wanted to do the self-love challenge. And so in my community, my Facebook community is called She Is Perfectly Made, Living the Empress Life. That's my Facebook community. So she was like, Lenita, I would like to do the self-love challenge. You want to do it with me? And I'm like, sure, I'll do it. And it was an experience. And it's something that I still have to do. It's a daily practice. It's not something that you do for 30 days and then it's like, okay, well, I'm done with that and put that on the shelf. No, this is an actual practice that you really have to take the time and actually evaluate and assess over and over again, because it's about you, And so I had to create a definition of self-love, and it was like, I was like, whoa, I gotta do what? That was part of the exercise. And so it was, I can tell you, my sister, she thanked me, and she was just so happy that I did it with her. But it was actually, I'm thankful that she actually invited me into doing it. And it was just a simple document that she got from Pinterest and was like, let's do this self-love challenge. I said, okay, sure, and I just shared. There was a few days that I didn't share because I had a lot of other stuff going on, but she shared. When she didn't share, I shared or whatnot, but a majority of the time I shared majority of all my stuff, and I was transparent with the community with it. And reality is, some people are not expressive. They're not going to be comfortable with being transparent, because you have a lot of introverts or so forth. And I understand that. But it took a lot out of me, because I'm actually like in between introvert extrovert. So it takes a lot out of me when I give my all and I'm transparent and sharing my experiences and sharing those things with anyone. And so when I did the self-love challenge, it really it just showed me a lot more about myself, that, it's just another thing is, okay, this is what you have to focus on, because I got flaws just like anybody else. There's some things that I have to tweak in my life to get myself together, because, you always have to regroup and just try new things to make things better for you. But I really enjoyed it, and it just made me think about more things that I didn't think about when it comes to myself, and loving who I am and who I'm designed to be, regardless of how someone may view me. I could care less, but back then I did. I cared about what everybody thought about me. I cared about pleasing everybody, pleasing everybody to where, and I just have to be transparent for a second, to the point to where spending money to look like somebody else. Like, why am I spending all this money?
I think we all have gone through that phase. I'll be 40 in like 6 months. Lord help me. And I look back and I've seen that I have had those tendencies, and not even more than tendencies. Like I have been strongly in that area before and work myself out of it. And I can't even say that I'm completely out of that space, but I'm more in the space now. Like I just don't care. Like I pick my jobs based off of my values, and I'm like, well, if you don't like my hair, I can't help you. And you know, if I'm too mouthy, then you know, what can I say?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so true. It's normal, it's natural, but it's absolutely true. And I think more women need to do this challenge because we have so many young girls who don't understand, like they're showing their bodies thinking that that is love, that somebody's going to love them more because they're butt naked on TV, or you know, they have like the best hair. And I don't have nothing against hair and weave and nails, because I like to have my nails too, and makeup. However, when you bring it to the point where it's not you,
yes,
you know, you're trying to put on this whole different person because you don't understand that somebody's going to love you and your rawness. This self-love challenge is necessary. So before we tie this up, please give us some advice and tell us where we can find you, because I definitely want to do this self-love challenge, and I'm going to challenge myself to post every day, or at least once a week.
Awesome.
I'm gonna need you to call me out if I miss a couple of days. Like, hey, we see you.
So you can actually find me on a lot of different social platforms. So you can find me on Twitter. It's Lenita. Okay, that's Instagram. So Instagram is Lenita Speaks. So at Lenita Speaks, that's me on IG. For Twitter, it's Lenita Cornett, my name. My full name, Lenita Cornett. Facebook is the same thing. My name is Lenita Cornett. I also have a LinkedIn. It's my name, Lenita Cornett. I try not to like change, you know, my name so it's easier for you to find me. So you can find me on all those platforms. My community, again, it's She Is Perfectly Made, Living the Empress Life. That is my Facebook community. My website is sheisperfectlymade.com. Right now, I'm pretty much going through, I mean, you can still go to it, but I'm actually going through some changes in the website. So there'll be some few changes that's going to be made within the month. Just some errors that we have that we got to get fixed. But you can find me on my website there. And my book it's on Amazon. It's Camouflaged of Perfection. And I'm trying to remember if there's any other websites that I'm missing. The Winning Coaches, it's on it's a Facebook page. Our Facebook business page is the Winning Coaches Community. So you can find us on Facebook business page, the Winning Coaches, and my business page on Facebook, it's Tap Into Your Truth with Purple Camouflage Mentor LLC.
Great.
And yes, Sophie. So the first thing, and some of the things that I talked about already, is when you're actually going into your journey with entrepreneurship, the first thing, you know, I would say is to take a step back, just analyze what is it that you love to do. You know, what is it that you love? It could be your job that you had in the military. That's fine, you know, but you work so many years in the military, over 20 years. Why not do something that you love? I would advise you to find a mentor and find a coach. Don't find 10, 20 of them. You narrow it down, because like I told you, I have more than one. I have like 3. I have business coach, Coach Danielle. Then I have mentor Ashlyn. And then I have, when it comes to writing books, I have Lila Holly, and she's a veteran. So, but their passion is what I see in them, and that's what drives me. So you want to have a mentor / coach, because there's a difference between being a mentor and a coach. But you want to have those individuals that's going to take you on your journey, because you can't do it alone. I would tell you that you want to have a community. You got to have a community that's going to support you. I'm going to tell you, your friends are not going to be there for you when you start your business. They're not going to hold your hand and be that cheerleader unless it's someone that actually knows your vision and is going to be that cheerleader and is going to be part of your team. Those are going to be the individuals that's going to be there for you, for your business.
They love you.
Right.
To death, but they have their own thing going on, and nobody's going to get your passion like you get your passion.
And that's why I wanted to say that, because the motivation is it goes back to the discipline, because that's something that's not if you were disciplined in the military, you still have it in you. You're going to have that those core values that you believed in the military. And if you want to be successful, those values don't go away when you become an entrepreneur. So if you want to be successful, you're still going to have to have that discipline and that drive, because there's going to be days where you're not going to want to do it. Don't change who you are because of what you see around you. I say that because I go through it. As a life and transformational strategist, I see so many different on Facebook, so many coaches. It's a plethora of coaches out there, and everybody is different. They're not the same, but at the same time, it's what's going to make you stand out above them to where you get clients. And so it's being who you are, not doing the thing that you think is right because they're doing it, because it may not work for you. It worked for them, but it may not work for you. And just stay the course. I started in April. What month? We're like in October. So, it's not going to happen like that. It's a steady pace, consistency, and knowing your marketing plan, having a profit plan. If you don't have it, you're doing a readjustment and fixing those type things. But it's all those things that they're not going to teach you this in business. I have a bachelor's business administration with human resources background, and there's certain classes that you're not going to learn this in your class unless, I know they have a curriculum on entrepreneurship. I think they have a master's now in entrepreneurship or some type of.
I doubt they really tell you that, they need to be comfortable with failure, and, you're going to want to give up on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, you're going to be like, oh my God, I got the best business on the world. You're going to feel a little psychotic one day. Yeah. I think when people start businesses, I know when I started businesses, when I started my business, I just was like, I'm going to start this, and voila. I got a business license. I'm legal, right? I'm good. And I didn't do nearly as much research as I should have. I didn't dig deeper. I didn't, there's a whole bunch of stuff I'm backtracking doing now that I up on 2 years that I should have done 2 years before. And so you can still be an entrepreneur and not have the business license. Sometimes you need to do your market research. Sometimes you need to get your mind right. So you got to do a lot of research. You need to figure out if this is something you really want to do, because your passion can be fun until you have to multiply it by 100. And then you're like, oh, it's not that much fun anymore. You need to be okay with all the crazy that comes with it, all the failures. You need to be okay with failures, Army people. Military, you need to be okay
yes.
with failure.
If you don't fail, you haven't tried.
I'm going to put all of her information at the end of the video and at the bottom where you can just click on it. You and I, all y'all, we need to take the self-love challenge, okay? So I challenge you to click below and try this self-love challenge and be open and honest and talk about yourself in the group. And yes, just follow Lenita because she's got great things coming out. She's got a book and she's coming up with a class. Stay tuned. And if you're on the way out or if you're already out, come visit her. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
For
you.
visiting. Thank you so much for agreeing to have a part two. This is absolutely lovely.